The story starts, March 12, 2005. A high schooler named Do Haeron stands before a chalkboard, deeply etching an ominous message with a sharp blade. Turning to face a lens, she hits record and captures her own chilling final moments. Her voice is barely a whisper, yet the malice in her words is unmistakable as she curses everyone she knows to die. Without hesitation, she brings the cold steel to her neck and ends her own life. Leaping through time to June 12, a teenager named Saya goes about her ordinary routine, preparing for the day ahead and messaging her neighbor, Jeon-woo. He races out to meet her by the elevator, caught completely off guard when she suddenly leans forward to plant a brief kiss on his cheek. As the pair begin their daily stroll to class, they run into their classmate Na-ri, who visibly has harboring deep feelings for Jeon-woo. Before another word can escape her lips, Hyeong-wook bursts into the scene and completely derails the conversation. Instantly sensing the undeniable spark between Saya and Jeon-woo and boldly asking if they are a couple. Though both fast talk their way out of it and deny any romance, Na-ri steps up to defend them. This only pivots Hyeong-wook's attention onto her, leading him to ask point blank if she is harboring a crush on Jeon-woo herself. She proudly owns up to it without a single shred of hesitation, sending a wave of palpable awkwardness through the group. Trying to break the sudden tension, Hyeong-wook playfully teases that he has a thing for Na-ri, but she relentlessly shuts him down right then and there. Upon arriving at school, Hyeong-wook hands his laptop to Ha-joon, another close friend, and asks him for some technical help. Ha-joon readily agrees, though it takes only a brief glance at Saya as she walks through the door to reveal that he also holds a secret torch for her. Hyeong-wook is just about to tease him with a comment regarding Saya and Jeon-woo when their teacher steps into the room and commands everyone's attention. The educator reveals the scores of their latest mathematics examination. While Ha-joon naturally claims the number 1 spot, the genuine surprise comes when Hyeong-wook scores immediately behind him. The rest of the classroom remains completely skeptical, with peers jokingly whispering that some sort of foul play must have taken place. Just as the playful accusations fly, Hyeong-wook's mobile device vibrates with an alert from an app named Girigo, informing him that his wish has been fulfilled. As his buddies grill him about his suspiciously high test scores, he introduces them to the app, explains the ritual, writing birth details on paper, filming a sincere wish, and uploading it. He even plays his footage to prove it, and though the crew laughs it off, Saya stays behind. Hyeong-wook shows her a ticking countdown on the screen, prompting her to dismiss it and advise him to hit the books instead of relying on cheap digital tricks. Yet an underlying tension suggests things are far more complicated than they seem. Even so, Na-ri holds no affection for Hyeong-wook and prefers to avoid his fast-approaching birthday party. He catches her whispering this confession to Saya, yet he acts completely oblivious to the slight. A subtle animosity also simmers directly between Saya and Na-ri, both of them subtly competing for the exact same guy's attention. Miles away, a woman known as Haechul conducts a bizarre ceremony before a serpent. She shares her home with a companion named Bang-wul. The white snake appears to warn that an outsider approaches, prompting Haechul to instruct Bang-wul to prepare a blade for protection. Meanwhile at the academy, Jeon-woo finds it difficult to resume his high jump routine following his disqualification the previous season. Saya attempts to ease his anxiety, encouraging him to clear his mind and simply leap. Following their session, the trainer calls Saya over to deliver major updates. She is being considered for the country's development squad. Saya feels ecstatic, even though the mentor emphasizes that Saturday training is henceforth strictly required. Later that night, Hyeong-wook experiences trouble concentrating throughout an assignment review. Ha-joon observes him swallowing a few capsules. Suddenly, Saya's audio plays aloud from his device, yet he quickly discovers she is gossiping about him to their peers. A dark shift in his psyche shatters silently. He attempts to contact her over and over. She finally returns the call amidst celebrating her national squad selection alongside Jeon-woo. The moment she mentions she must skip his birthday bash, he disconnects. She attempts to dial back, yet his device is completely powered down. Jeon-woo adopts Hyeong-wook's concept regarding the application and captures a request of his own, mostly teasing. Praying training gets called off so the pair can support their companion. The following dawn breaks routinely, yet Hyeong-wook seems vacant. He refuses to divert his eyes from the ticking screen display. The instructor admonishes him. Ha-joon prompts him. Total silence follows. Then, with mere moments remaining on the countdown clock, he stands up. His limbs begin twitching in horrifyingly unnatural angles. A classmate attempts to restrain him, but he draws a blade, nearly plunging it straight into Ha-joon. The classroom goes completely still. He pivots directly toward Saya, She attempts to intervene, calling out to him desperately. For a brief moment, his awareness seems to return, clutching her forearm and begging for her assistance, but he slices open his own throat. Blood sprays violently across her skin. She struggles to staunch the wound, but the damage is done and the clock strikes 0. In a brief memory, Saya and Jeon-woo encounter one another initially inside an elevator. He develops an immediate infatuation with her. Around campus, speculation travels rapidly. Certain classmates murmur that Saya carries a curse, that their parents' deaths should have been enough proof. But Jeon-woo, Na-ri, Ha-joon, and Hyung-wook dismissed it instantly without a second thought. Hyung-wook even takes it a step further, slipping his favorite toy into her hands just to catch a glimpse of her smile. That small moment changes everything, turning 5 complete strangers into something closer. In the present day, the police rule Hyung-wook's death a suicide, but Saya refuses to believe it. After leaving the nurse's office, she heads toward the gym searching for clean clothes, then suddenly notices the toy, and memories from the night before rush back to her. Earlier that morning, she had gone to Wook's house carrying a birthday gift, already knowing she would miss the real celebration because of the new practice schedule. He barely said a word. He looked exhausted and completely drained, though her visit seemed to ease some of the weight on his shoulders. She reassured him that the others would come, but he still doubted it, insisting that Jeon-woo would never show up. Right before she left, he mentioned the phone call. Someone had copied her voice and used it to say cruel things to him. Even then, he already knew it was not really her. Back in the present, each of them handles the grief in their own way. Saya crosses paths with the coach in the gym, and for a brief moment they manage to comfort each other. Then the coach talks about canceling practice, and Saya immediately feels her stomach twist with dread, because that had been Jeon-woo's wish, and every granted wish comes with a death timer attached to it. She tries to convince the coach not to cancel practice. A light fixture suddenly crashes between them, forcing them apart and ending the discussion instantly. Saya quickly checks the time. Across town, Jeon-woo's phone begins to buzz. His wish has officially been marked as fulfilled, and the timer finally starts counting down. Saya rushes to reach him as fast as possible. Soon the entire group comes together, and she tells them everything. The threat is real, and Jeon-woo is the next target. Na-ri refuses to believe a word of it, tension rising immediately between them, especially when Jeon-woo quietly sides with Saya instead. Hurt and angry, Na-ri lashes out, dragging up Saya's past, the deaths of her parents, the accident, and the so-called bad luck she believes Saya brought into all of their lives. But Saya refuses to break under the accusation, calmly admitting that she has already watched the people she cared about disappear before her eyes, and she refuses to stand by and watch it happen again. Ha-joon finally steps in and cuts the argument short, telling them they need solutions, not another fight. He grabs Jeon-woo's phone and opens the app, trying to delete it completely. But no matter what he does, it immediately returns. Frustrated, he shuts the phone down entirely, yet the timer keeps counting anyway. Destroying the device changes nothing. The countdown belongs to Jeon-woo now, and every second keeps slipping away faster. The group heads to Saya's place to figure out what to do next. During the walk, Jeon-woo stays close beside her, and she quietly confesses that when she first moved to town, she almost left the team behind. But it was his calm presence and steady support that convinced her to stay. Once they arrive home, the group separates for a while. Saya goes to shower at her aunt's house, while Jeon-woo stays behind lost in thought. Woo heads upstairs alone when his phone suddenly starts ringing. The voice on the other end sounds exactly like Saya, or at least something pretending to be her, whispering cruel words about him and his feelings. Shaken, he rushes straight to her apartment. The call cuts off the second he arrives. Uneasy and paranoid about being watched, he stuffs both phones into the fridge, hoping to block whatever might be listening to them. As they compare what happened, they realize neither call was real. It is the exact same thing that happened to Wook before everything went wrong. Before they can process it further, the others finally arrive. Ha-joon pulls up the app's code and desperately searches for a way to stop it, but nothing changes. The timer continues counting down without slowing for even a second. Then Jeon-woo suddenly falls silent, something strange flickering across his expression. He starts rubbing at his eye aggressively and Saya reaches toward him in concern, but he quickly pushes her hand away. A moment later, he points toward an empty corner of the room and asks if anyone else can see it too. Na-ri turns toward the corner and instantly freezes in place. Unlike the others, she can actually see something there. The room falls into panic as Jeon-woo suddenly drives his own finger toward his eye at a terrifying angle. His voice turns sharp as he orders everyone to get out. Na-ri backs herself into the corner, trembling while holding up her phone and recording everything. Blood starts pouring from Jeon-woo's nose as if some unseen force is crushing him from above. Though nobody else can see what is happening, Ha-joon rushes in from behind and grabs him tightly, struggling to hold him still before he hurts himself further. Se-ah frantically calls for help, but Jeon-woo lashes out violently and lands a hard hit, then suddenly turns on Ha-joon, grabbing him by the throat with both hands while accusing him of trying to interfere with the app. Ha-joon's strength fades quickly as his body starts going limp. Desperate to stop him, Se-ah grabs a laptop nearby and slams it across Jeon-woo's head. He finally collapses to the floor, blood spreading beneath him as the room falls silent in shock. At the hospital, Se-ah says nothing to her aunt, keeping everything inside while Jeon-woo remains in the ICU with his condition uncertain. Na-ri later finds Se-ah and tells her that Jeon-woo's family is demanding answers, blaming her without knowing she was actually trying to save Ha-joon during the attack. Na-ri then offers to go pick up some things from Se-ah's house, but Se-ah tells her it's fine and still shares the door code with her anyway. Meanwhile, Ha-joon continues digging into the app when his sister Hae-sol suddenly calls him and tells him to stop what he's doing. She insists he is only still alive because of Se-ah, and reveals that spirit is responsible for everything, a force that spreads curses and shifts its form depending on whatever it can use nearby. Right now it exists as an app, but any video or image carrying a person's emotions is enough to let it in. Hae-sol tells Ha-joon to come to her, but he hesitates, remembering she once pushed him away. Then something shifts. Like a snake stirring beneath the surface, her voice changes, becoming sharper and more urgent as she asks about Se-ah, warning that Se-ah is in danger. The scene cuts to Se-ah, pen in hand, writing her wish, while Jeon-woo's condition suddenly crashes in the ICU. In an instant, the act triggers a vision she cannot control, the image of her parents' accident flooding her mind without warning. Ha-joon arrives at the hospital, but he is already too late. Se-ah has made her wish, and Jeon-woo is restored back to the moment before everything began. As if time has been reset, Se-ah tells Ha-joon that the wish will let her see the spirit directly, the same presence that once came for Hyun-wook and still lingers behind everything that has happened. Seeing it as the only way to stop it, Ha-joon finally tells the truth about his sister and asks Se-ah to come with him. Hae-sol feels something shift immediately and calls out to Bang-woo, telling her to get the knife. At the same time, Jeon-woo opens his eyes, and Se-ah quietly realizes her wish has been fulfilled. Na-ri is inside Se-ah's house when she finds Jeon-woo's phone and opens it, comparing both timers as she studies them closely, noticing an 8-hour gap between the two countdowns. Then suddenly one of the timers stops entirely. Se-ah has made her wish and managed to save Jeon-woo. Ha-joon reaches her shortly after and finally confesses everything, revealing that his sister Hae-sol never went abroad at all. She actually quit her job and became a shaman, and he had been lying to protect that secret. The group then prepares to act as they grab what they need and move forward together. They manage to get a taxi, but their route is cut short when a fallen tree blocks the road, leaving them no choice but to continue on foot. The forest they cut through is thick and unsettling, and the strained silence between them only makes it worse. Even harmless sounds in the brush are enough to send them stumbling and shouting in panic as they push deeper in. When they finally reach Hae-sol's grounds, Ha-joon stops at the entrance. Uneasy, he explains that Bang-woo never permits outsiders beyond this point, and that Hae-sol herself is bound here, unable to leave, warning that stepping past the boundary is said to come with fatal consequences. Before the argument can continue, Bang-woo appears and unexpectedly welcomes them in, breaking the tension. Inside, Se-ah's phone suddenly rings, and the voice that comes through sounds like Jeon-woo, asking why she hasn't visited and where she's been. Hae-sol immediately senses something off about the call. The candles begin to flicker and die out one by one, and Hae-sol suddenly rushes forward, shouting at Se-ah not to answer the call, warning that the voice pretending to be Jeon-woo is not him at all but the spirit testing her. When Se-ah refuses to respond, the voice on the phone turns hostile, and her expression shifts unnaturally, her eyes going pale and unfocused as her hands stiffen in place, using a rope to knock the phone out of her grip. And for a brief horrifying moment Se-ah's head twists at an impossible angle before her body goes completely still. Hae-sol immediately moves into action, telling Ha-joon that the spirit has already marked Se-ah's soul. They lift her unconscious body and carry her to an outdoor altar, where Hae-sol gives a strict warning to Ha-joon not to touch Se-ah under any circumstances. The snake slips out from the shadows and moves in beside them, as if it has been waiting all along. In the other realm, Se-ah slowly wakes, still lying near the altar. Only now everything feels warped and unreal. Hae-sol stands before her and calmly explains what she must do to survive, telling her they need to pass through 3 doors to escape. Meanwhile, in the physical world, Hae-sol instructs Bang-woo to light the incense, warning that the wind is too strong and it will burn out quickly. As she begins chanting, she forms a protective ward around them. In the other realm, Hae-sol shows Saya a thin white silk thread linking them together and gives her a single strict rule: do not look back, because if Saya turns around, the spirit will notice Hae-sol as well and both of their lives will be in danger. Ahead of them, a door begins to form out of nothing. Hae-sol puts on her mask and disappears into it, leaving Saya standing alone once again. Saya walks forward, opens the door, and steps into a school hallway that feels wrong from the start. Like a memory that has been twisted, Wook's death begins replaying around her in fragments. Unstable and looping, the figure of Wook appears ahead, sometimes begging for help, sometimes turning threatening in the same breath, and Saya is forced to run without stopping, refusing to look back. A second door then forms in front of her, while in the physical world Hae-sol calls for another incense stick to keep the ritual stable. In the other realm, Saya is shown the accident involving her parents once again, the memory pulling at her so strongly she nearly freezes, torn between staying and moving forward, but Hae-sol's voice pushes her on, reminding her not to stop. At the same time, Bang-woo warns that the incense is almost burned out, and Hae-sol responds bluntly that if they become trapped, Saya will have to find her own way out. Across the room, Ha-joon watches everything unfold in silence, listening to Bang-woo's growing panic as the situation continues to spiral. Then slowly pulls out his phone, downloads the Girigo app, and stares at it without speaking. Meanwhile, Saya pushes herself toward the third door at last, but the moment her hand makes contact, it detonates into a violent burst of force. The next thing she knows, she wakes up inside Hae-sol's house with Ha-joon and Bang-woo standing over her, telling her that everything is over. Yet Hae-sol's voice still lingers in her mind, warning that the third door has not been completed. Suddenly Ha-joon begins to convulse and twist unnaturally, showing signs of possession just like Geon-woo before him. Hae-sol urgently tells Saya not to look back under any circumstances, while Bang-woo insists that the only way to free Ha-joon is to finish the ritual properly. Saya pivots, the phantom spots Hae-sol, back in reality. Hae-sol bleeds profusely, her disguise fractures. She commands Bang-woo to unseal the portal. Only 3 minutes remain, he cautions. Saya gets dragged into an alternate dimension, blood drenching the floor. A crimson silken cord binds her forearm to a scarlet telephone. Across the void hovers the apparition, clad in academy attire, jugular severed, tracking her movements. Corpses and shrouds dangle from above, gore spills down. Saya's nostrils bleed while she shudders. A projectile cuts cleanly through the scarlet cord. Hae-sol materializes at her back. Flee. They dash toward the concluding gateway. The wraith charges forward wielding a blade. Hae-sol moves ahead of Saya to absorb the strike. They return, and Saya collapses the moment she crosses back into safety. Hae-sol is badly wounded but still conscious, insisting that nothing is over yet. She explains that the only way to truly end it is to sever Saya's connection to the other side by finding and destroying the Myang, the object that anchors the curse. Until then, Saya may be safe, but she is still not free. Ha-joon helps her inside while Bang-woo turns to Hae-sol in frustration, angry that she pushed herself so far despite the risk that her injury could make leaving the property even more difficult. Hae-sol brushes off his concern and instead asks him to watch over the others, choosing to stay behind so the spirit within the snake can heal her wound. On his way back inside, Bang-woo comes across Ha-joon and finds the notes he had written earlier. Nearly making a wish himself, he quietly sits him down and scolds him, trying to pull him back from the edge before things get any worse. He tells Ha-joon that his sister is already at her limit, using everything she has just to keep Ha-joon's friend alive, and that making another wish would only push everything further into chaos. He urges him not to go through with it. At the hospital, Na-ri visits Jeon-woo, while Saya's aunt mentions that his condition is slowly improving. Na-ri slips into his room, replays a recording of his violent episode, and then lies to him, telling him that Saya said she can no longer see him and has gone silent. Back at Hae-sol's house, Saya thanks her for everything, admitting that even though the vision of her parents was only an illusion, it still stirred something deep inside her. Hae-sol listens quietly and promises she will help her see this through. Later, Hae-sol lays out the full truth, explaining that Girigo is only the current form the spirit has taken, a curse carried by a vengeful soul that shifts identities over time. To end it, they must locate and destroy the Myang, the true source anchoring it to this world. She believes the Myang is the red phone Saya was tethered to in the other realm, and that Saya must retrieve it and bring it back. Ha-joon immediately tenses at the idea, but Hae-sol insists there is no alternative, explaining that Saya is the only one connected to both sides and the only one capable of holding the phone safely. Eventually they settle in for the night, while outside the rain begins to fall. But to Saya it doesn't look like rain at all, it looks like blood. In her vision, a girl in a school uniform with a slit throat stands soaked in it, staring at her, and when she turns, another girl is already lunging toward her, both figures distorted and unreadable. Hae-sol pulls her out of the hallucination just in time. Saya insists she is fine despite everything. Before they leave, Hae-sol fastens a protection bracelet around her wrist and warns her firmly not to remove it and not to answer any calls, and asks Bang-woo to keep watch over the group while they search for the Myang. Outside, Ha-joon quietly thanks his sister, the weight of knowing she is confined to the forest property sitting heavily on him. Bang-woo reassures him, promising he will find a way to change that. Meanwhile across town, Jeon-woo discharges himself from the hospital and heads straight to Saya's house, where Nari is already waiting and claims Saya's aunt sent her. She offers to help Jeon-woo search for his phone, all while secretly hiding the fact that she already has it. At the same time, Saya, Ha-joon, and Bang-woo go to Ha-joon's place to retrieve Hyun-wook's laptop, determined to trace how he first discovered Girigo and uncover the origin of everything they're dealing with. While they are going through the laptop, a message suddenly appears on Hyun-wook's Discord from a friend who has heard the rumors about his death and is clearly shaken, subtly implying he might be involved in something far worse than anyone realized. The friend says he still has something Hyun-wook asked him to keep and agrees to meet to hand it over. Unaware he is now speaking to the wrong people, the trio quietly sets a trap, with Ha-joon using his technical skills to trace Hyun-wook's digital activity and pinpoint the meeting location, which leads them to a contact named Min-soo. The moment Min-soo realizes something is off, he panics and runs, and the situation turns into a chase that ends on a rooftop after he gets accidentally struck by a door twice while trying to escape. Once cornered, the boy finally admits that he was the one who originally sent the link to the Girigo app to Wook. He then reveals that two girls once studied together at USA and others school. One of them was named Do-hee, the daughter of a shaman, while the other girl, Shi-won, was the one responsible for creating the Girigo app. The boy also shares photos of both girls with them, giving the group their first real clue about where the curse may have started. After seeing the post with the photos, Bang-woo decides they need to find the girl connected to the curse. So the group heads toward the shaman's house. Their journey leads them deep into an isolated area, and after climbing endless stairs through the quiet mountains, night falls around them. Along the way they come across a small shop owned by an older woman, who tells them more about the shaman's family. She explains that Do-hee was never actually the shaman's daughter. The real daughter was someone named Shi-won, and none of them have been seen for the last 3 years because they all disappeared suddenly without explanation. After hearing this, the group continues onward toward the abandoned place, hoping to uncover what really happened there. When they finally reach the shaman's house, they find the entire place in ruins. Everything inside scattered as if someone abandoned it in a hurry. Seeing the condition of the house, Bang-woo becomes suspicious and mutters that it does not even feel like the home of a real shaman. Even so, before entering, he makes Ha-joon and Saya stand close together while he creates a protective circle around them. He warns them seriously that no matter what happens, they must not step outside the circle, and if he does not return within 10 minutes, they are to run straight back to the car without looking behind them. He orders them to stay inside the vehicle until sunrise no matter what they hear outside. After giving the warning, Bang-woo heads into the house alone. While outside, Saya once again catches sight of the same terrifying spirit watching her from the darkness. Unable to resist the pull any longer, Saya begins following the spirit as it moves deeper into the darkness ahead of her. A few moments later, the figure stops at a certain spot and silently gestures toward the ground before vanishing completely. Confused, Saya looks down and discovers a school uniform along with an old photograph showing both Do-hee and Shi-won together. She begins wondering what the spirit was trying to reveal to her and why it led her there in the first place. Meanwhile, inside the shaman's house, Bang-woo discovers a hidden door concealed beneath the wreckage, but the moment he opens it he finds the entire area covered in blood. The sight leaves him unsettled as he quietly wonders whose blood could possibly be spread across everything inside. Bang-woo is still examining everything inside the hidden room when he suddenly hears Saya and Ha-joon screaming outside. He immediately rushes out, only to realize neither of them is where he left them. Panic sets in as he searches through the area before eventually reaching the same place where the spirit had led them earlier. What unsettles Saya the most is the realization that the spirit has not actually tried to harm them so far. Instead, it seems to be guiding them towards certain clues on purpose. Later, The group sits together inside the car while speaking with Hae-sol, and Hae-sol tells Bang-woo that they need to locate both the spirit and the photograph they discovered at the shaman's house because the answers are likely connected to them both. After noticing a window visible in the photograph, Hae-sol says with certainty that the red phone must be hidden somewhere there, and that they will need to find and destroy it if they truly want to end the curse once and for all. The problem is that none of them know how to track down either the spirit or the red phone itself. Then, while staring at the photograph, Ha-joon suddenly realizes that if they had a digital version of the image, they might be able to trace its location. An idea immediately comes to him, and he begins digging through Wook's laptop to extract the location data connected to his wish video. But Saya quickly points out a problem, explaining that they would need access to a registered account to pull that information, and none of them currently have one. Suddenly Saya remembers seeing the same account before on her coach's computer, and the group quickly decides they will have to sneak into the school that night to access it secretly. Later, please help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers by taking a few seconds to subscribe. Thank you so much. Next, they arrive outside the empty school building under the cover of darkness. Bang-woo insists on coming inside with Saya and Ha-joon, wanting to help, but Saya stops him and explains that since it is their school, they know the layout and hidden paths better than anyone else. She tells him to stay outside and wait while they go in and return as quickly as possible. Bang-woo checks his ghost meter one more time and notices there is no strange signal around the school at the moment, so after a moment of hesitation, he finally agrees and lets them go inside alone. They enter the school through a hidden route known only to Saya and Geon-woo, a passage originally created by Geon-woo so that Saya could practice without being seen. Since Saya already knows all of the coach's passwords, she manages to access the coach's computer with ease. The moment Ha-joon opens the Girigo app data, something shocking appears on the screen, leaving both of them stunned. It turns out to be a video of Na-ri, and the sight of it immediately changes the atmosphere, revealing that Na-ri has been connected to the situation far more deeply than they expected. It's revealed that Na-ri had once made a wish on the Girigo app, and that wish led to Wook's death, meaning he had died because of her. By this point, they realize a key pattern: when one timer runs, another one stops, so if Na-ri truly made a wish, Wook's timer should have ended, but it didn't, which suggests her wish worked differently because she wished for death itself. This creates a major twist in the story, leaving Saya shaken as she begins questioning everything, wondering whether Na-ri was ever truly their friend, or if she had been hiding as an enemy all along, silently manipulating events from the beginning. But that is not revealed yet as the story shifts into the past. We are taken back to November 4, 2008, where Na-ri is at a club with her cousins, casually talking about her feelings and admitting that she likes. She even shows Jeon-woo's photos to her cousin, who reacts by saying he is very handsome. At that moment, another boy who is with them looks at Jeon-woo's pictures and comments, saying Jeon-woo is just an average-looking boy and nothing special, which immediately irritates Na-ri, who snaps back accusing him of being jealous of her crush on Jeon-woo. Right at that moment, Wook's photo appears on the screen, and Na-ri's attitude changes sharply as she begins insulting him, saying she has never seen someone as foolish as him, mocking the idea that he actually believed an app could grant wishes, calling him naive for thinking something like that could ever work. Hearing this, her cousin teases her and challenges her, saying she probably wouldn't even dare to make a wish on the app herself, then casually adds that she reminds him of another girl named Saya-won, who apparently was just like her in personality and behavior. Na-ri suddenly stands up in anger, overwhelmed by the teasing and clearly drunk. She writes down her birth date and name on a paper and places it over her head as she starts recording a video in a chaotic, unsteady state. Confused and disoriented, she mutters that she doesn't even know what she is supposed to say properly, then blurts out a reckless wish, saying she wants Wook to die because she sees him as a burden on the world, and even adds that another boy sitting behind her is also annoying her. Before she can continue, her cousin suddenly slaps her, snapping her out of her drunken state and forcing her to realize what she has just said. The following morning, she wakes up panicked, assuming she is tardy yet again. She quickly gets dressed and rushes to campus, only to walk right into a nightmare. At that exact second, Wook is slicing open his own neck. The horrific spectacle paralyzes her with terror as a chilling realization hits her. She remembers the wish she made. Right on cue, a notification chimes on her device confirming her request has been granted, and a 24-hour countdown immediately begins ticking away on her screen. The sight pushes her into a full-blown panic. She reels in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a careless joke could result in someone's literal death, compounding the psychological horror. She feels physically miserable and nauseous, entirely depleted from drinking the previous evening. She feels so sick from everything that she ends up vomiting in the bathroom. And while she is there, she suddenly hears girls whispering nearby, blaming Wook's death on her and claiming that Na-ri intentionally wished for him to die. Terrified, she rushes outside to confront them, but the hallway is completely empty and no one is there. Moments later she notices Saya running somewhere in a panic, so she follows after her and eventually discovers that Jeon-woo had also made a wish, one that had already been fulfilled, causing his own countdown timer to begin. But during all the chaos, Na-ri realizes something even stranger. The exact moment Jeon-woo's timer started, her own timer suddenly stopped, revealing that the curse had somehow shifted from her to him. This finally explains why Na-ri had been acting so strangely that entire day. Even while staying close to her friends, she had secretly been carrying the fear and guilt of everything that happened. But Saya begins to suspect that Na-ri was hiding far more from them than she admitted. Later, Na-ri goes with Saya and Ha-joon to Saya's house, where everyone is trying desperately to stop the timer before it runs out. It is there that Na-ri first sees the spirit herself, and Saya realizes that Na-ri's thread may still be connected to the entity through the timer even now, yet something about it does not make sense, because while the spirit violently attacked both Ha-joon and Saya, it never directly harmed Na-ri that day, leaving them all questioning what kind of connection truly exists between her and the curse. The strange part is that the spirit never once spoke to Na-ri directly, and the reason behind that remains a mystery for now. Later, the story returns to the moment Na-ri wakes up in the hospital. After speaking briefly with Saya, she uses the excuse of collecting belongings to go back to the house. But her real reason is to retrieve Jeon-woo's phone. The moment she finally finds it, her countdown timer suddenly stops, leaving her completely confused. She begins questioning how that is even possible, because her own timer had already stopped once when Jeon-woo made his wish, so she cannot understand why Jeon-woo's timer would suddenly end as well. Desperate for answers, she immediately tries calling Saya and Ha-joon, but at that moment both of them are still away at the hermitage dealing with the curse and searching for the truth behind it. Because Saya and Ha-joon are away at the hermitage, neither of them answers Na-ri's calls, so instead, she decides to send Saya a message and finally reveal the truth about everything she has been hiding. But before she can do that, a message suddenly appears on Jeon-woo's phone from Saya, saying they may have finally discovered a way to stop the timer and save all three of them, while also asking him not to tell Na-ri anything yet. Reading those words immediately fills Na-ri with anger and confusion, and she starts wondering if everything that has happened so far was actually part of the spirit's plan from the very beginning. Na-ri begins to suspect that the spirit has been manipulating her emotions on purpose, deliberately trying to turn her against the others so it could eventually use her against them. Right after that, a red worm-like creature is seen entering Na-ri's body, making it clear that the spirit is attempting to take control of her completely. The scene then shifts back to Saya's house, where Jeon-woo has also arrived searching for his missing phone. Na-ri quickly lies to him, claiming she only came there to collect some belongings for Saya's sister. Jeon-woo explains that he is there because he needs to find his mobile, and he starts searching through the house once again, but no matter where he looks, the phone is nowhere to be found. Eventually he turns to Na-ri and asks if he can borrow her phone for a moment, hoping it might help him figure out where his own device disappeared to. Na-ri teases him, saying he is asking for her phone like he is her boyfriend, but she still hands it over. Jeon-woo carefully studies the video on her device and then quietly tells her that he remembers seeing someone standing behind him that day. A girl with a deep wound across her face. He admits that he wants to return to the school at night to investigate further, especially the records kept in the nursing room, but confesses he is nervous about going alone, so he asks Na-ri to come with him. The story then shifts back to the present, where Na-ri and Jeon-woo are already inside the school, having entered through the same hidden path Jeon-woo originally created for Saya. Together they move deeper into the building. Inside the nursing room, Jeon-woo discovers Siwon's medical records, but instead of showing them to Na-ri, he quickly tears the papers apart, slips them into his pocket, and turns toward her with suspicion in his eyes. He tells her that he knows she has been hiding the truth and reminds her that she also saw the witch back at Saya's house that day. He points out that in the video she recorded, she repeatedly aimed the camera toward the exact spot where the spirit had been standing, asking how she could have focused on empty space so precisely if she had not seen it herself. Cornered by his questions, Na-ri slowly pulls out a knife and stares at him coldly before speaking. the tension between them instantly turning dangerous. Na-ri accuses Jeon-woo of bringing her there just to frighten her, but he immediately tells her she has misunderstood everything. Before he can explain further, Na-ri suddenly admits that if he discovered this much, then he must have already learned the truth about her wish, confessing that she was the one who wished for Wook to die. Hearing that leaves Jeon-woo completely stunned, unable to believe she could have done something so terrible. Na-ri then breaks down further and tells him she now understands all of them. Convinced that everyone secretly joined together against her, she brings up the strange messages that appeared earlier as proof, believing the others were hiding things from her on purpose. Jeon-woo desperately tries to calm her down and explains that it is not what she thinks at all. He tells her he already factory reset his phone, saying it is basically just an empty device now and should not even be capable of receiving messages anymore. Hearing Jeon-woo's explanation causes Na-ri to freeze in thought for a moment, but suddenly the same red worm appears again and crawls into her eye. Immediately afterward, she violently attacks Jeon-woo before running away from the room. Jeon-woo tries to stop her, but when he looks directly into her eyes, he sees the red worm moving inside them and realizes that Na-ri is being controlled by the spirit. At the same time, Bang-wol is still outside the school, confused and unable to figure out which route he should take to get inside, searching around in frustration for another entrance. Meanwhile, Jeon-woo desperately tries to break open the locked door as the situation spirals further out of control. Just then, Jeon-woo sees the same terrifying spirit moving toward him through the darkness, and the sight of it sends him into panic, forcing him to run for his life. But the entity quickly catches up to him and once again tries to kill him. At the last second, Bang-wol arrives and manages to save him, only for the spirit to attack him as well. During the struggle, shattered glass flies into Bang-wol's eye, damaging his vision and leaving him barely able to see from one side. Even then, the nightmare does not stop. Bang-wol looks ahead and sees the spirit approaching once more, but before it can reach them, it suddenly disappears without warning. Realizing something else may be happening, Bang-wol immediately begins worrying about Saya and Ha-joon as the story shifts focus once again. Please help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers by taking a few seconds to subscribe. Thank you so much. Next. From here, the story shifts into the past, where we see a girl with a striking red eye. Revealed to be Do-hee, she arrives at Siwon's house to meet her, and the door is opened by a woman who turns out to be both a shaman and Siwon's mother. She invites Do-hee inside and notices her eye immediately, telling her that it is affected by a curse and that she may be able to heal it, and she indeed performs a ritual that seems to fix it. However, Do-hee becomes increasingly uneasy as she keeps noticing her attention being drawn toward a locked room glowing with red light from within. Before she can investigate further, Do-hee receives a phone call from Siwon, and she leaves the house shortly after, her curiosity about the mysterious room still unresolved. As she leaves, the shaman casually tells Do-hee to remind Siwon to eat her meals on time, a remark that hints the relationship between mother and daughter is strained and distant. Later, Do-hee finds Siwon resting in a quiet place and suggests she go home to sleep properly, but Siwon refuses, saying she cannot even breathe there because of the heavy incense smell. Soon after, they move closer to a window where snowfall is unexpectedly falling even though it is March, creating an eerie atmosphere. Do-hee then asks Siwon if she can join her coding club, but Siwon does not respond or acknowledge the request, leaving the moment unresolved and the tension between them unspoken. They then set out for school together, and along the way a boy named Ji-tae appears, who is Siwon's friend, though Do-hee quietly thinks to herself that she likes him. Siwon notices this and lightly teases her about it, adding a bit of playful tension between them. However, the mood quickly shifts when Siwon catches the faint smell of incense coming from Do-hee, the same scent she recognizes from her own house. This immediately irritates her, and she snaps at Do-hee, asking if she had gone to her house. Do-hee admits that she did, explaining that she was only looking for Siwon and that the woman there told her she could treat her eye and even managed to heal it. But instead of being reassured, Siwon becomes visibly angry as she listens, the situation growing more tense between them. Here we learn another important detail. Siwon is portrayed as stubborn and self-centered, while Do-hee is kind-hearted and empathetic toward others. However, Siwon begins to suspect that Do-hee might be trying to uncover her secrets, even though Do-hee has never thought of her that way and genuinely considers her best friend. Despite this, Siwon deliberately keeps her distant from others and prevents her from joining the coding club, fearing that someone might eventually discover the truth about her. This is why she continues to ignore Do-hee at school as well, creating an emotional gap between them that only grows wider over time. In the following scene, Siwon is hanging out with her coding club friends, discussing ideas and getting feedback for the app, when Ji-tae suddenly says, "If you make an amazing app and we win the competition, I'll grant any wish you want," which makes everyone laugh and joke around. Then one of Siwon's friends comments, "Siwon already has someone like Do-hee by her side, she doesn't need anyone else. Don't you all know that Do-hee's mother is a shaman who killed her own husband? That girl is seriously dangerous. I'm really scared of her," but Siwon remains completely silent. The group suddenly suggests to Siwon, "Why don't we create an app based on shamanism? An app where the birthday is written and people can make heartfelt wishes that eventually come true." However, Siwon considers the whole idea meaningless and walks away angrily. Here, Do-hee drops Siwon's mother back home, and her mother says to Do-hee, "Go ahead and look inside that room. I know you've been wanting to see what I do in there." After hearing this, Do-hee enters the room and begins examining the objects placed around it, saying, "All of these are really cute." Then the shaman tells her, "You can take whichever one you like, consider it a gift from me." She then points towards some hanging dolls and asks what they are called, to which the woman replies, "These are called tali. If someone needs to be captured and hanged by the neck, these are used for that. It's actually very simple. Even you could do it. All you need is that person's hair or blood. Place it here, wrap a thread around it, and then wait until the thread turns red." Confused, she replies, "I don't really understand what you mean," and the shaman explains to Do-hee, "It means fresh blood is needed for this ritual." She continues explaining everything to her, but at that moment, Siwon arrives there, and the moment she sees Do-hee, she becomes furious and starts walking away. However, Do-hee quickly stops her, and she attempts to defend herself, but Siwon cuts her off, snarling that she sees right through the act, accusing her of gathering dirt and hunting for secrets just to use as blackmail, before storming off in a rage. Afterward, Do-hee sits in her room, completely dejected. Suddenly, Siwon walks back in, acting incredibly bizarre. She looks at her and says, "Did you know that if you write your birthday and wish from the bottom of your heart, it actually comes true?" She then scribbles her own birth date onto a piece of paper, declaring, "I wish my mother would die because I absolutely loathe her. Look, I shared a secret with you, didn't I? Now it's your turn to tell me your wish. Something you've never confessed to another living soul." She answers, "I want to go out with Ji-tae." Hearing this, Siwon bursts out laughing, mocking her by asking, "You call that a wish?" She then starts recording Do-hee on her phone, declaring, "Watch, your desire is absolutely going to come true." But a moment later, her tone shifts as she adds, "Sometimes you genuinely terrify me because you understand me better than anyone else." Do-hee is left completely bewildered by the comment. Cut to the next scene at school, where the icon of that Girigo application had been designed by Do-hee herself. She felt genuinely happy for Siwon. Following this, the scene shifts to Siwon, who was actively developing that Girigo application. However, during the process, she senses she is making a critical error, which causes numerous dark, supernatural forces to surge toward her. Meanwhile, her mother is shown bleeding profusely from both her nose and mouth. Realizing that her daughter is on the verge of making a catastrophic mistake, the mother buries Siwon's school uniform, strands of hair, and that specific photograph deep into the earth. She begins reciting a protective ritual chant, pleading, "Please shield my daughter, transfer her punishment unto me." Right at that moment, she enters the exact room where everything had descended into chaos. The sight fills her with dread, driving her to decide that she must seal this door away forever. However, she continues to bleed out heavily, while the scene cuts to reveal that Siwon's life has been spared. The following morning, Do-hee arrives at Siwon's house while searching for her. Instead, she spots Siwon's mother frantically digging in the yard, a sight so unsettling that she turns to leave out of sheer terror. But just then she catches her and says, "I have a request for you. Please save my daughter." She doesn't realize what a catastrophic mistake she has made. Just secretly slide this talisman paper into her bag, please. Do-hee tells her, "Ma'am, please come to the hospital with me instead." But she replies, "No, leave me. I will be fine. Just save my daughter, please." Following this, she runs off to find Siwon. However, she realizes she cannot say a word to her because Siwon is surrounded by her friends. Dejected and crying, she leaves the area. Next, we see Do-hee secretly slipping that protective talisman paper into Siwon's bag. But right at that moment, Siwon arrives and, without asking any questions, slaps her across the face before walking away. Following this, Siwon joins her development group and announces that she has completed the application, leaving all her friends stunned as they wonder how she finished it so quickly. She retorts that none of them offered any assistance, especially Ji-tae, so now they will have to do a task for her. The scene shifts to the classroom, where the video Siwon recorded of Do-hee that night is being broadcasted, showcasing her wishing for Ji-tae to fall in love with her. Witnessing all of this, Do-hee is deeply humiliated, but the torment doesn't stop there. Ji-tae approaches her right in front of the entire classroom and jeers. "Have you looked in a mirror lately? What made you think I could ever fall for someone like you?" Before escalating to physical violence. Watching the cruelty unfold, Siwon feels absolutely no remorse, proving just how twisted she really is. It's incredibly disheartening to watch poor Do-hee suffer when she did absolutely nothing wrong to deserve any of this. Regardless, returning to the narrative, Do-hee runs away from the classroom in tears, utterly broken. Following this, she heads straight to her house and constructs effigies of Siwon and Ji-tae, replicating the exact methodology described by Siwon's mother. The narrative then circles back to the identical sequence featured at the very beginning of the series. Do-hee is seen painting her birthday onto the wall, turning to face the camera with a deeply unsettling laugh. She declares, "Now I am going to record a video precisely how you instructed. Today, I will make a wish from the absolute depths of my heart. I wish for all of you to die." With those final words, she slits her own throat, letting her blood soak directly into the ritual dolls. Immediately following this, we see Siwon and Ji-tae watching the footage, as Do-hee had broadcasted the entire act live on the Girigo app. Siwon desperately tries to delete the footage, but the system refuses to wipe it. Meanwhile, Ji-tae also meets his demise. Following this, Siwon grows frustrated, unable to comprehend why the application won't shut down, showing absolutely no grief over the loss of her friend. Suddenly, Do-hee's video begins streaming directly in front of Siwon, and Do-hee's vengeful spirit forces Siwon's own hand to start slicing her own throat. Refusing to succumb to fear, Siwon fights back with all her might to restrain her hand, but the struggle only carves a massive gash across her face before she finally dies, her blood pouring out onto her device, cementing the curse upon the phone itself. The Girigo application is now fueled by the malice of not just one, but two vengeful spirits. Please help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers by taking a few seconds to subscribe. Thank you so much. Next. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Saya and Ha-joon, who have just finished downloading the necessary data and are preparing to flee. Out of nowhere, Na-ri blindsides them, lunging with a metal rod. Before she can strike Saya, Ha-joon throws himself into the line of fire and absorbs the heavy blow. Shaken but desperate to de-escalate the situation, Saya calls out to her, saying, "We know the whole truth now, but I don't blame you. I know you thought this was all just a game. You never intended for anyone to actually die because of a wish." Hearing these words, Na-ri, becoming emotional, but right at that moment, the vengeful spirit begins to brutally attack her. Bang Wol arrives on the scene, spots the entity, and immediately strikes back. However, the spirit manages to seize Na-ri as it retreats, clearly intending to use her for its own dark purposes. Following the chaotic encounter, the group rushes to the hospital because Ha-joon's hand is severely fractured. Amidst the tension, a rare moment of bonding occurs between Bang Wol and Ha-joon when, for the very first time, Ha-joon refers to him affectionately as brother-in-law. Once things settle down, the team utilizes the decrypted data to trace the exact broadcast location of Do-hee's final video in which she had committed suicide, successfully pinpointing the coordinates. The group realizes they must locate the original red phone where the curse originated, as it is the only key to breaking the cycle and fixing everything. They immediately set out for the location. Along the way, they consult with Hye-seo, who reveals a critical detail. Only Saya has the ability to touch that specific phone without consequences. She offers a final word of reassurance, telling her not to fear because as long as the protective string remains tied around her wrist, no harm can come to her. With renewed resolve, the group presses forward, even as the vengeful spirit actively conjures obstacles to block their path. It fiercely attacks them, and while shielding the group, Bang Wol sustains severe injuries. Despite the pain, he urges Saya and Jeon-woo to stay strong and keep moving forward to find the phone. Saya successfully locates the exact spot and is just about to reach out and grab the device when the vengeful spirit appears in Na-ri's form and launches a sudden assault on Saya. Jeon-woo rushes in just in time, slashing at Na-ri with the ritual knife, which breaks the spirit's hold over her. The illusion shatters, leaving Na-ri completely back to normal and sobbing on the floor. Right at that moment, Saya finally picks up the cursed phone. Seeing Na-ri weeping in despair, Saya walks over to her comfortingly and says, "Come with me, let's get out of here." But Na-ri suddenly bursts into a chilling laugh and sneers, "I'm not letting you leave this place," before violently ripping the protective thread right off Saya's wrist. The moment it snaps, the corresponding string breaks and slips from Hye-seo's hand miles away. Saya instantly collapses to the ground as foam begins spilling from her mouth. Witnessing this, Jeon-woo panics in absolute terror. Just then, his phone rings. It's Hae-sol, who frantically instructs him, "You need to bring Saya to the address I just sent you immediately." But through her pain, Saya gasps out, "No, don't do it. This whole thing is a trap. She's trying to lure you in. Don't listen to her." He cannot understand what he is supposed to do. Then suddenly he notices the meter handed to him by Bang-woo and realizes that it must be the very same spirit. With that thought, he immediately heads toward the hermitage. Meanwhile, Hae-sol contacts him once more and says, "I will send a lantern up into the sky. Follow its light and it will guide you to the hermitage." However, the spirit interferes before that can happen, shutting off every light around the hermitage so the way becomes impossible to find. At the same time, it forcefully pushes Jeon-woo and enters Saya's body, then begins to laugh while saying, "Now let me see how you plan to save her." Moments later, Jeon-woo finally catches sight of the lantern that Hae-sol had released. He looks up toward the sky, gathers his courage, and declares, "No matter what happens, I will save my Saya." After saying this, he lifts Saya with all the strength he has left and carries her to Hae-sol, pleading, "Please, save her." Soon after, the scene shifts to Saya at the school, clearly frightened and confused, while nearby stand Jeon-woo, Ha-joon, and Na-ri. The three of them try to comfort her by saying, "Everything is all right now, that app has finally come to an end." However, before long, she begins to feel that something about the situation is not real, as if everything around her is nothing more than a lie. Inside the spirit's world, we then see Hae-sol destroying the mobile phone. But strangely, even after the phone is broken, the curse still does not disappear, and no one is able to escape from the spirit's world. Seeing this, Hae-sol realizes that he has made a terrible mistake. It was not only one phone that carried the curse, but two of them. Both Siwon's and Do-hye's phones had been affected, meaning the curse of the game could only be ended if both phones were destroyed. Because of this, Hae-sol goes to Saya inside the spirit's world and tells her, "You will have to find Siwon's phone." And at that very moment, both of them notice Do-hye's spirit pointing toward a certain direction, as if she is trying to show them where Siwon's phone is hidden. Realizing this, Hae-sol quickly comes up with a plan. She decides to keep Siwon's spirit distracted and tells Saya to go search for the phone. Meanwhile, Hae-sol herself takes on Do-hye's appearance and keeps Siwon's spirit occupied, while Saya desperately tries to open the door. Just then, Na-ri arrives there after the spirit had already explained everything to her. Now Saya's own friends begin to see her as their enemy. Saya tries desperately to explain everything to her, but she refuses to understand and suddenly attacks, causing heavy bleeding. Na-ri is no longer acting like a friend and has completely turned against her. She continues striking her repeatedly until eventually loses consciousness. Meanwhile, Siwon's spirit finally manages to catch Hae-sol, but even then Hae-sol risks her own life to keep fighting and restrains the spirit while saying, "I turned myself into a tali to control you. As long as my blood continues to flow, you will not be able to do anything." At that very moment, Saya arrives carrying the phone and destroys it using the arrow. After that, everything finally comes to an end and both of them regain consciousness. In the following scene, everyone is seen sitting together in class. However, Na-ri and Wook are missing from the group. Their semester has already ended. Yet even now the others still deeply miss their friends. Saya continues to carry guilt in her heart and keeps thinking that she wishes she could have made Na-ri understand so she could have returned with all of them. Later, they are shown gathered at the hermitage where they pray for the peace of Wook's soul. Afterward, while everyone is sitting together, Bang-woo begins telling them about what happened after he was injured, describing the condition he was in and everything he experienced afterward. Bang-woo also tells them that during that moment Ha-joon had been crying just like a little child. Hearing this makes everyone burst into laughter, and in the middle of the conversation he suddenly says to Hae-sol, "I think you can finally leave this hermitage now, because the powers that exist within you are now inside me as well." Hearing those words leaves her completely shocked. Then she looks directly into his eyes and notices that one of them slowly turns red. In the next scene, the same boy who used to be Wook's friend is shown secretly digging up a buried phone from near the school and putting it on charge. It turns out to be Na-ri's phone. Soon after, he begins speaking with someone online, and that person says, "Here is the password to Na-ri's phone." After unlocking it, he opens the Girigo app inside the device, the very same app Na-ri had once used, raising the terrifying possibility that Na-ri's phone might still be cursed, and hinting that the curse could spread all over again. And with this, the drama ends here. What do you think will happen next? Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.